You're okay, boy. Just press the button, boy.
I'm okay, Dad. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Uncultured Cult. I'm your host, Dash Eel. Ugh. I'm like saying that. And I am joined by my
cohort.
My cohort, my second in command here, Jesse. And also joined by our cult leader, who may or may not have something to say for us today. Do you have a message for us, oh gracious one? God damn it, Moo.
She's literally talking so much.
Yeah, she wanted to shut the fuck up before I said she's going to.
There we go.
There we go. I don't know if the mic will pick that up or not. But, yeah, we're here for... Dude, can you believe it?
Dude,
two episodes
in
a row. We're popping the fuck off, dude.
Starting off 2023 with...
Oh, yeah.
With the new...
It's a new year. I totally forgot.
New year, new episode.
What is
and
time?
Next year we'll have another one.
New year, new pope.
New year, new pope.
Right? Did you hear about that?
What? New pope? There's a new pope?
No. The
what happened to...
Pope Benedict died.
Oh, for real?
You know, yeah, like literally last night.
Oh, crazy. You know, I did see someone tweet rip to the Pope, but I assumed that the Pope did something like heinous. That was gonna,
like he was just canceled?
He was going to have like a smear campaign against him or something like that. I didn't think that he actually died.
Yeah, I saw a headline because they were showing it on the news that they play in the break room at work yesterday. So I was like, it's a real deal. And they said Pope Benedict passed away at age like 90,000,
Yeah,
I think.
I think you're probably right.
Probably about there. And
maybe a little.
Probably a little
but
he, my first thought was like, what happened to Francis? He's all right. he's still in. Benedict was the one before Francis. I didn't know.
So I'm sorry. Like, yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I was like.
So Benedict is the old one.
Yes, he is the former.
So the Pope right now is still.
Yeah, my first thought was
Pope.
like, I guess Benedict is the one after Francis, and she's fucking died in office or however popery works. Popery?
Pope. Yeah, I think that is a word actually. I think
I got 3 hours of sleep, and I was at a party not last night but 2 nights ago. So I guess apologies in advance if I sound like shit. That's it. That's all. So we have a show lined up today, don't we?
we do.
We certainly do have a show. I'm gonna go through my notes real quick. We got some trailers we're going to talk about, and then our topic for today is Dom Hemingway, which I watched like 10 minutes ago. We finished watching.
A movie that very few people probably know about.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it when you suggested it, but yeah, we'll get to that. And then I want to... Well, there's a couple things that we could potentially get to that we won't do everything I have here, but I'm either going to want to talk about most anticipated movies or get around to music, because I want to talk about music too, like that's as part of the show, right? Does that make sense? But we'll decide how we're feeling when we get there. So yeah, did you have a good New Year's Day or whatever? What'd you do yesterday?
I totally forgot that it was like last night when I was existing, I totally forgot that it was like New Year's Eve. And so it was like...
Oh, I haven't seen you since last year, by the way.
Yeah, it's true. It's like when you go to work and someone's like, "Oh, you got a case of the Mondays?" It's like that kind of...
Sir, it's Sunday.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah, it was like 12:50, and I was like, "Oh, hey, it's a new year."
Yeah.
So, just completely...
I looked down at the... I worked last night until like 2 a.m., and I looked down at the clock, and it was like 12:15, and so I was like, locked and loaded. I was like, bullet in the clip, magazine loaded, locked and loaded, bullet in the chamber. First fucking person I see, I'm like, hey, I haven't seen you since last year.
Yeah.
I had that locked and loaded all fucking night, dude.
That's what I say, like, at work to my customers. And I hate that I do it, but I think it makes them feel, like a little more friendly towards me, because I'm always like, all right, I'll see you next year.
Don't apologize for art. All right, that's what we're about here at the Cult. Something else that I didn't write down that I wanted to say is that we have an email.
What?
So we have an email.
Oh yeah.
That's right. We set it up,
Yeah.
and I haven't looked at it once. But so I'll remind everyone at the end of the show. But I want to get like listeners involved, and if you have anything you want to say, questions, comments, concerns, inquiries, how to join the cult, things of that nature. If you just want to say something cool, movie suggestions, we'll take that too. I have a list of episode ideas that we're eventually gonna whittle down into nothingness. So please keep us loaded with suggestions. And that email is theunculturedcult at Gmail. Okay, I haven't looked at it since you made it. Jesse made it and then sent it to me, and I was like, cool. This was like 3 weeks ago or something like that. So yeah, I'll remind everyone at the end of the show. So we just got done watching some trailers, and I wanted to talk about. There's a lot of movies coming out this year. There's a lot of movies coming out this month. One of them that stood out to me that I wanted to get your general thoughts and opinions on was the trailer for Megan, or Mithrigan. Mithrigan. What'd you think?
That looks good, I think.
Really?
Like, yeah, I thought it looked like genuinely creepy, and it's kind of a hot topic too right now because everyone's
with AI, synthesoids.
It's funny that like what's kind of in the forefront of that topic right now is like the art making. Like that's what people are concerned about.
Like robotics and AIs, like as an art installation in itself. Is that what?
No, I mean like AI creating art.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I get
So
it.
it's just taking things on over the internet and trying to understand like. I mean, I guess I don't really know like what the AI does, but I'm assuming it just looks over the internet and sees different artworks and creates variations.
Okay,
of that.
right. So just like the AI storm that's taking over the internet right now.
Yeah.
Interesting that because they would have had this movie kind of, and there's a lot of CGI involved. So the AI kind of. Do you think they predicted that? Do you think the AI storm didn't really hit until I feel the second half of this last year, and they would have had this movie in the works for at least the last, more than a year.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously AI has always been a hot topic, and it just
Right.
it becomes increasingly more of that just because of technology and stuff. But it is interesting because like those AI generator things, like those, I want to say like I didn't
Like the
know,
websites and apps.
Yeah, and I didn't really know about those. I think until I don't know, like it was mid 2022 probably.
Yeah, it was after summer. I remember
it was after summer, and then I
sent me
found some
the
stuff, and I was
Night
like,
Cafe, and then whatever that new one that's popping off that's making everyone's profile
I think
pictures.
there's Wonder something. Like
Wondery.
Wondery.
Right? Wondery?
Well, that's an app. That's like a podcast app, actually. I don't know if that's what it is.
That's
It might just be Wonder
many
AI or
podcasts on the
something
brain.
like that. But
I know what you're talking about.
it is interesting to see how quickly those programs have like it got better. Like, because the first one that I was doing, it was like very difficult to get what you wanted.
Yeah, I know. Like you would input like a string of words or whatever to kind of tie it together to create an image, and it would come out. It would spit something out, and you would look at it and be like, "Oh, haha, there's definitely like
I kind of see where
I see you, computer, fucking making shit that looks like a computer made it." So.
Yeah, it's like, are you trying?
You can tell.
Trying.
You can tell.
But now it does seem like it is much more accurate. To
I don't know if it was you or if it was my girlfriend Rachel that showed me the there was one app that was like it's pictures of people that look like just photographs, like candid photos that could have been taken like at a club or a concert or something like that, and she was like, an AI made this, and I was like, oh shit. It was real, like they looked way too real, and then like you couldn't tell like the difference between when we first started really paying attention to these images earlier in the year or earlier around summer, you could tell the smears, the smeared faces and like the way too many fucking nightmare fuel fingers everywhere and shit like that, as opposed to these pictures like within the last month that Ray showed me from some new AI where I was like, this is just a regular picture of some rando. There's nothing weird about this. Every now and then it'll slip up, like somebody will have like 6 fingers or somebody will have just like too many teeth kind of, but for the most part, if those aren't really focal points in the image itself, yeah, kind of scary.
Well, because it's like, what if I get an app and I could just type in Dashiell Maddox holding up a bank, and like there's just video evidence of you doing that, and that it's just created by AI, and then I can just make people think you're a criminal.
Should I? Okay, so.
Or on the other hand.
Wait, hold on,
no, that's an AI made that video. That didn't actually happen.
Hold on, before I lose this thought, should I introduce myself as Dash or Dashiell? Because if I put my name, if I write my name Dashiell, somewhere, like if I post this and it's like hosted by Dashiell, but people aren't gonna necessarily read that because my name is spelled weird. That's why I said Dashiell. So if you know me, you know that.
So you want me to call you Dashiell?
No, I'm saying should I just say Dash?
This was for the sake of typing in your full government name into an AI.
Regardless of that, because how I introduce myself.
It's not for you, and it's not for the people listening. It's so that the AI knows who I'm talking about, and it makes an accurate rendition of you robbing a bank.
And then when the Mithrigans come, are coming off the assembly line in just full production. Full force, my name will be at the forefront of whatever it is that they're programmed to be taken care of. Is that what you're saying to me? Are you threatening me?
I don't know where we are anymore.
I don't know either. This is
no, but I think it looks like a good movie. I think it looks like a good movie. Like horror. I feel like it's difficult to make a good horror film.
Right. To bring it all back around. We were talking about a movie.
We were talking about that, and because I think about like Jordan Peele's horror films.
I've never watched them.
You've never watched any of them? Yeah,
no. I wanted to watch. Everyone like raves about Get Out. Everyone says Us is like fine. And then he has another one, right? Nope.
Which I think
I want to watch them.
I think out of all of those, so they're all fantastic. I do think that like of the 3, Us is not as good, but also very good. But I think you'd like Nope the best.
Okay.
And I feel like I like Nope the best.
We can definitely do an episode on
we should
on all of them.
Yeah, we should definitely. Sure. But like the way that, because I was hearing him talk about, he was talking about anime. And he was talking about how anime does a really good job of creating just completely original stories, and the world building they do is typically very unique and strange. And what he was saying is like people are kind of afraid to create worlds like that because they're afraid that they won't believe them. You know what I mean? But if you watch any of Jordan Peele's movies, like, yeah, you have like this kind of thing in the back of your mind, like, well, that's super strange. Why is it like that? But you sit there and you believe it because you're watching a movie. Like I feel like sometimes creators underestimate the audience's ability to suspend belief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so and I think because of that we kind of get stuck in tropes and like.
Okay, yeah.
And like the same thing kind of always happening. So, watching the Megan trailer, it's like, okay, this seems pretty predictable. And what's going to happen. Like, I almost feel like it does look like it's going to be good, but I also don't really feel like I need to see it to know what's going to happen.
So I was going to say, same. I don't feel like I need to. I've seen a lot of hype building around it. A lot of people, like, I was reading the comments on the trailer. And in general, it seems most people are pretty excited to see this. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm the outlier here, but I was going to say it. I was like, this looks awful.
I think I would be more interested in it if it just wasn't a horror film.
Well,
but it still made you feel uneasy. You know what I mean?
So I think it could. I think it has a potential for some unsettling stuff in it, but I guess there was just some things in the trailer that made me like the dance. Like we were like why? What is that? What is that for? That's not.
That freaked
strange.
me out. I think that freaked me out the most. Like
really,
I think that was meant to be like very unsettling. That this AI is like on a murder rampage and loving life.
I think that's where the end of my suspension of disbelief. That's like where it ends right there. Because if an AI murder robot was there to kill you, why the fuck would it waste time dancing in a hallway? Unless intimidation tactics were part of its programming.
Well, we don't know. We don't know at what point. We don't know if she.
Who is this for? Who is this dance for? Is this for the TikTok crowd?
No, I think that the AI learned this. Okay, so the AI obviously cares for this little girl.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, and then so they spend time together, and that dance that she's doing. I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen the movie, but she probably learned bits of that dance from the girl.
Yeah, for sure. In universe,
so she's like feeling herself, and then that is something that makes her happy. So maybe she's not wasting time. Maybe she just killed somebody and is celebrating.
Yeah, in universe, I could see the explanation making sense, like the lore kind of like checking out. But as far as like from a creator's perspective, or from like a creative kind of point of view, it's like, why is this here? Like, I don't know. If I was working on the movie, or if like you made this movie and came to me and said, "What do you think about this?" I'd be like, "Cut this scene, please, God." And then I saw it, but yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm an outlier, but I've seen people kind of say that part's creepy, and then the part where she like gets on all fours and starts running. I'm like, you're a humanoid. Humans are designed to run upright. Like, I don't know. Why are you fucking crawling? Get up. Like the crawling scene through the forest. So I don't know. It looks predictable. It looks to me. It looks like it's hitting on topics that will kind of draw in crowds for sure. But for me, there's a predictability to it that I don't give a shit about this.
Like, it would be so much more interesting if it was more like Lars and the Real Girl or something. Like almost like, okay, well, that's another one we need to watch, but like something that's like
put it on the list.
Kind of something like this dramatic, like we could explore like what happens when the girl no longer wants this AI as a friend. You know what I mean? Like, what if it didn't go on a murderous rampage? Like, what if it was just experiencing like this girl grow up, and this girl like doesn't want this toy anymore.
Then that would probably make for a better movie.
Yeah, it would, right? It would.
So that's all I have to say about that. Moving on.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, another Christopher Nolan flick. The last one was what, Tenet,
which I did not see.
I missed. I want to do an episode
on it. That's the only
on
Nolan film I haven't seen.
I haven't seen that, and Memento we were talking about the other day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one I want to do, like a Nolan-centric episode, but I've seen Inception and Interstellar, and probably another thing. Oh, the Dark Knight trilogy, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, Oppenheimer. So it's cool to see him do like another period piece. Oh, he did another one that was like on World War One.
Oh yeah, Dunkirk.
Yeah, I want to watch that one too. Haven't seen it. So yeah, our boy, is it Cillian or Killian?
It is Killian. It is Cillian Murphy.
Okay, so Peaky Blinders is a guy, and he helps to build the bomb, or what? Like, what? I guess I don't understand because it's a historical.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, because like
is he a real dude?
What? Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, he's the guy. He's the man.
He's the
guy who fucking figured it out.
Okay.
How to split an atom and make a fucking atom bomb.
Whatever. Okay. All right. Cool. Makes sense. Yeah. It looks really cool and interesting. I don't know. I feel like I've heard mixed things about Tenet, and then I think people kind of have their opinions on Inception and Interstellar, but other than that, Nolan is, to me, generally regarded like he can't.
I feel like Inception and Interstellar are just objectively good movies.
Yeah, I've heard people like bitch and moan about.
I can be like, I can understand saying, I didn't like how this happened or this happened, but it's a good movie. You can't get away from that. I don't think.
There's another movie podcast I was listening to where they kind of shit on Interstellar, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I know some people who don't like Interstellar, but I also think that sometimes people just don't like space movies.
Interstellar is where boys become men. And if you didn't fucking cry at the end, you're fucking lying.
Yeah, you're lying. You're lying. That's such a powerful movie. And most of it is like fucking real science.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's what's amazing about it.
My favorite... Yeah, so as a fan of science, in the cult, in tandem with the science and the world around us, my favorite part is the box at the end. The box world.
So, like, what was he? He was, like, in the fifth dimension or the fourth dimension or something like that.
It's like you enter a black hole, you're in a library.
Well,
that's the end of that black hole.
And that's obviously where the science ends.
No.
That's where it begins.
No, I was like, Nolan, you motherfucker, you son of a bitch, you nailed it.
Dude, ever since I've seen that movie, and I saw it back in 2018, I think.
Yeah.
I just would love to be shot into a black hole. Like if I could seriously, if I could choose my way of death, 100%.
Spaghettification by black hole.
100%. Just fucking shoot me into that thing.
I was like, if this is the last thing I experience,
because I mean, how cool would it be just to experience that? Like, if you could find a way to like somehow create like some kind of suit for me to be in that I could at least withstand getting to the black hole, right?
Like, if it just extends your life for like another second, just so you can kind of squeeze.
Just squeeze in as much time of black hole time.
You probably see the back of your head.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you go in and you
just see the back of your head.
You just see the back of your own head, and you'll be like, "What the fuck is that?"
I don't know if I want that to be the last thing I see.
I think that's what would happen.
I'd be like, oh man, I'm gonna shave my neck.
I was like, oh man, what is that? Is that a mole?
Yeah.
Fuck. I would look at mine and be like, oh, so that's what that tattoo looks like.
That's what I look like, and he's dead.
Dead. Cool. Oppenheimer. Excited to see that. I don't know when it releases. I know Megan releases in January. Oppenheimer might be February. I didn't double check, and I'm not going to. Ant-Man comes out this year, I think, in February or March.
Yeah, I've kind of stopped following the Marvel stuff.
You had enough?
It's just like, I know I'm gonna watch them, but I kind of don't care enough to anticipate it. Like, I literally don't.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Like,
well, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I was excited for Black Panther 2.
I haven't
seen it yet, but I'm probably just gonna wait until it comes to streaming.
And that's typically what I've just been doing is like, because I did that for a while, but that was like when I was in college and I just didn't go to the movies very much. But then I started going to the movies because
because movies are tight.
Well, I like to go see the Marvel movies, like right when they come out and talk about them. But then pretty much after the last Spider-Man.
I think the last Spider-Man.
The last Spider-Man is just I kind of just lost interest in doing that.
I think it was just too expensive for me. I was like, I gotta buy two tickets, two or
sometimes
three tickets, fucking popcorn and a drink. You fucking kidding me? I was about to drop $50 on Disney and supporting all their. I'll just wait till streaming.
Yeah.
I'll watch it when it comes out by legitimate means.
And I guess
not pirating.
I don't know which one's first. I am excited to see Kang. I think with his reveal in Loki made me extremely excited to see him as a villain.
I think when the next two like full-fledged Avengers movies comes out, that'll be probably
pretty tight.
The next ones I actually go to the theater for.
Yeah. But we keep getting off the subject of Oppenheimer, and I just feel like I don't know enough about the history of.
Me neither.
Of that.
This will be our.
So I'm excited. That's why I'm excited for it. I think
this will be our insight, our way in.
Yeah.
Our foot in the door for learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
About the history of our species.
No, but he did do some kind of. He made some kind of bomb for the movie.
And Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, and I don't know, and because how headlines are, and I didn't really delve into it or whatever. I just saw a headline that said that they replicated some kind of similar bomb that they used, that they dropped on.
The real
the real fucking bomb, and they used it to, and they They
did
did
it
in
blueprints from the
conditions
real bomb to recreate.
To create something like this, and then recreated it in, you know, some kind of safe environment. I mean, I don't know how safe you can
I was
make
just
that.
about to ask. I was like, do you think there'd be kind of backlash for fucking building?
And see, that's
movie?
And he at least from what I've seen on Twitter and stuff, people are a little upset that he
maybe
did
just
that.
CG it, bro. You're Christopher Nolan.
Maybe just CG it. Like, you don't have to. But at the same time, I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, I'd be like, dude, just hit up your buddy old pal James Cameron and all his submarine money, dude, and just have him fucking CG up a bomb for you. He made Avatar. You think he can make a bomb for you? I guess Nolan's movies tend to be
maybe
a little bit
I
more
really
practical.
don't know what goes into his effects and stuff, but
because you think about Interstellar, it's the ship is real, or they use models at least for, you know, the crash scene, and then
I feel like I should look into how Inception was made visually, like, because there's a lot of trippy stuff that happens.
Yeah, true.
So I'm like, what kind of practical effects did he use for?
But I think a lot of the sets and things like that are like the on location filming.
Right.
Like the snow area in the last act of the film, and then.
Well, there's like, you know, that one scene where like fighting in a hallway and like they're kind of
that's right. Yeah.
Like was that actually like some like a room that they were spinning around?
Did you not know?
No, I didn't. I was just thinking about it.
Well, that's actually 100% right.
Okay.
It's they fixed a camera, like it's at a fixed point inside of this room that is actually a giant rotating room. So, and all those actors like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and everyone else in there are just fighting to balance themselves while acting, while this giant spinning room is just tumbling them around, which looks fun as fuck.
Yeah, that'd be so sick. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, dude! Let's get roles in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Get what?
Let's get roles.
Yeah, let's call
audition.
our agents and
all right,
set up.
Sold. Done. On to the next thing, which is probably just Dom Hemingway, the movie that is the main subject of our show today. I kind of was going to ask you if you wanted to take the lead on this one and kind of
sure, because
have you seen it more than once?
Oh yeah, like I've seen it because I saw it a long time ago, long enough to not know who Emilia Clarke was.
Okay.
So this was before I even watched Game of Thrones, and the reason why I say that is because Emilia Clarke is in this movie. She doesn't have a huge role or anything.
Yeah, that caught me off guard when I saw her.
But I saw her, and she looks like a kid. Like she looks really,
I think
really young.
the wig kind of. I was like, is that? I was like,
yeah,
Khaleesi?
Yeah.
What is she doing here?
But she, you know, I don't know how old she was in Game of Thrones, but she looks like she's very early 20s in this movie.
Yeah, I think this movie came out around the same time that Game of Thrones was in full swing.
Oh, really?
For sure. Yeah, 2014.
2014?
Right. Yeah, they would have.
Is that when this movie came out? I didn't.
Yeah, Dom Hemingway came out in 2014.
So I must have saw it.
Stats.
I must have saw it like probably 2015 or something like that. And I think the only reason why I watched this movie was because you know, I'm a big fan of the Sherlock Holmes with Jude Law and RGJ, and I was just looking up.
Who is Jude Law in those movies? Is he the
villain? He is Watson.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen those.
You haven't seen those?
I feel like a lot of this show in general is people saying titles of movies and me responding with, "Oh, I haven't seen that yet."
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be the vast majority.
But basically, so Dom Hemingway is a movie. It stars Jude Law and Richard E. Grant.
Oh, dude. I think he was my favorite character.
Richard, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I like how
he's just so goofy.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to me because it's Richard E. Grant, and then he's playing like the kind of goofy sidekick, which, I mean, I haven't seen all of his stuff, but that kind of struck me as an interesting role for him. So that was really enjoyable to watch.
But to set this up, so it's kind of weird. It's a weird story, you know. It's like, why does this even need to be told? But it's basically just about this. He was a safecracker, and he went to prison for 12 years because he didn't rat on anybody. He was offered deals to basically expose the crime boss that he was working for, Mr. Fontaine, and he chose to not rat him out and stayed in there for 12 years. as a result, when he got out, his wife had died, and
in the meantime.
While he was in prison, his wife had died. He had no contact with his daughter that whole time. So she was probably like 11 at the time that he went into prison, and now she's an adult, married, and has a kid. And Dom Hemingway as a character is interesting because he's like this narcissist. He holds himself in very high esteem, and the way he talks about himself.
I was gonna ask, do you think it's normal when someone just refers to themselves in the third person all the time?
No, absolutely not. And it makes you wonder because he and Richard E. Grant's character as well kind of allude to him being like this great criminal in the past. And watching this movie, it makes you wonder, like, Was he?
Yeah,
or is he just
a massive
narcissist?
Dickhead.
and he just goes through life, bulldozing through people and things, all the while shouting his greatness to everyone around him.
The tagline is Jude Law is Dom Hemingway and you're not.
Yeah.
Pretty good summary right there.
So the opening of the movie is him in prison, and he's receiving fellatio.
Okay, so I wanted to say I'd never heard of this movie. I don't know anything about it. You suggested that it'd be our topic for today, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be you endorsed it. You said we should watch this. It's a good movie. It's got Jude Law. He doesn't do anything bad, and I was like, I believe you. That sounds good. Yeah, we can watch Dom Hemingway and talk about it. And so, I kind of went in looking for the what's the thing here that kind of makes Jesse want to suggest this to me? What's the thing? What's the thing in this movie that this movie's going to be about, or what is it going to bring to me that's just going to tip me off? That's just going to have Jesse written all over it. I was like, what's it going to be? And the opening scene, the very first line, he's getting sucked off, and what's he say?
He's talking about how
he's like, "Is my cock exquisite?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "There it is."
Yeah,
it's the very first fucking
he's
line.
Like, my cock's a work of art. It should be in the Louvre. It's like Picasso.
Picasso.
It's.
I was like, all
and
right.
It's like a 3-minute. It's like a 3-minute long monologue.
It's a little long, isn't it?
Of just him talking about how great his dick is.
Fantastic. I was like, okay, so it's that kind of movie. All right, Here we go.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
Okay, so yeah, exactly, and it's just like incredible opening to a movie, because that's the kind of opening that you have, and you know that you're gonna have the people that stick around. Like, imagine that being in a movie theater. I can definitely see people walking out
just immediately.
Like, if that's like the first thing you see, they're like, all right.
Yeah, I guess if you didn't know anything, and I don't know, I kind of I looked it up just to see where to watch it, and the first thing it said on, I think, Amazon Prime was something like he's a gangster, and I was like, it's a gangster flick, but it is not.
It's not. Really.
It's definitely not.
It's mostly a comedy. I think.
Yeah, so I kind of just went in. And yeah, that's another thing. It says comedy, but dark comedy, but it describes him as he's a gangster, and so that's what I was like. Oh, it's a gangster flick. It says comedy, crime, drama, dark comedy. So yeah, I imagine if somebody had that kind of expectation going into the film and didn't know anything else about it, not too unlike myself, you'd have people walking out right then and there.
Yeah.
And that's how you weed out the weaklings from the strong.
Absolutely. Because, and to be clear, it's not like a great film.
Yeah.
But it's a fun film.
Fine. Yeah.
It's fun.
I think it's fun to watch people having fun, and it looked like everyone was having fun doing this.
And it's fun to just, because basically the whole movie is just Dom Hemingway getting himself into situations where he will literally go on rants about how great he is. And that's my favorite part of the whole movie.
I knew it would be.
This character just thinks so highly of himself.
I knew. So, I guess while I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, "Hey, will you shut that baby up?" I was thinking to myself, I was like, Jude Law has got a lot of lines.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, he's the lead, so he's gonna be written that way. But like for the lead character, he's got a lot of lines specifically about himself, specifically, literally just talking about himself and mostly just yelling angrily and then saying his own name to other people. So yeah, that lines up with the narcissist point you were making earlier. But yeah, to me it was kind of, I knew that would be your favorite part, was him just spouting off about how fucking great Dom Hemingway is. But to me, I don't know, I was like, why am I rooting for this guy?
Yeah, you wonder why. And even when you, because there's you get some heartfelt moments about how he, even though he thinks so highly of himself,
he's still
deeply troubled and deeply saddened because like he lost his wife in prison.
Yeah, he cares about his family.
He cares about his family, and that's pretty much his only saving grace. But he didn't care about his family enough to actually take care of them. So even then, it's
but is it enough?
Is it enough to hate him?
Is it enough to redeem him?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
And
I was like, he kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's a shitty person.
And then towards the end of the film, he's trying to get involved with this criminal, but this particular criminal is a son of somebody that was his rival.
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna ask. I think I missed that. I was like, who is that? Are you talking about the Lester character?
Yes, the Lester character.
He kind of shows up out of nowhere in the second half.
So basically, yeah, like he worked for, so Dom Hemingway worked for this guy named Mr. Fontaine, and he had a rival, and I don't know how it happened, but I guess he got a hold of his rival's cat and killed his cat. And so now his rival's son is in charge. Dom Hemingway is trying to work for his son, but this son hates him because he killed his cat, his childhood cat, and wants to chop Dom Hemingway's dick off.
I wish that was explained a little bit more, because they just kind of leave it at, hey, you killed my cat.
But it's like, why the
fuck would you do that?
But you
so
think
at that point I was like I could tell he's an asshole and a narcissist, but at the point where it comes up that he... Okay, so, yeah, at the point where it comes up that he killed someone's cat, I was like, what the fuck? And then... which is interesting to me, because earlier in the film, he literally got done saying how he doesn't do... The Mr. Fontaine character played by... I don't know how to say this. Damien Bichir? I'm going to look this up. Damien Bichir. Looks like it says Bitcher, but...
The Bitcher.
Pronunciation. His character... Play it.
Damien Bichir.
Did I not fucking nail that first try?
You said Damien.
Who cares?
There
was an accent right there.
Why are you so obsessed with getting this right? Damien Bashir's character, Mr. Fontaine, is hunting when Dom Hemingway first encounters him, and he's hunting rabbit, and Dom Hemingway says, I don't want to eat. If you're hunting rabbit, I don't want to eat it because rabbits are pets, and I don't fuck with that, basically.
Yeah.
So I was like, and that's towards the beginning of the film. So I was like, yeah, he's a criminal. He just got out of prison, but he's got some moral compass, like that right there. I was like, that's in there to kind of tip me off. He's a fucking cat killer.
Yeah, and
I was like, what? How do you want me to feel about this guy?
Yeah.
What are you getting at?
Yeah, it made me wonder if the person writing the movie just didn't give a shit about cats, maybe. So maybe the person who wrote the story really doesn't think it's a big deal. But if like somebody killed my fucking childhood animal, or any animal, if anyone kills an animal like that, like I'm gonna.
I was like, you're a bad dude.
I'm not gonna give a shit about you, and given the opportunity, I'm not gonna chop their dick off, but I wouldn't mind ruffling them up a little bit.
Yes. So yeah, like he's an asshole and he's fun and entertaining to watch be an insane person, but yeah, not a good dude.
Not a good dude.
So at the point where we find out, and it's kind of like, so I think there's like 5 acts in this. It's kind of broken.
It's broken up strangely, because you have the.
Well, I kind of like that.
It's
like chapters
because it kind of misleads you into where it's going. I feel like, because I thought that the Mr. Fontaine that whole thing, I thought we were going to be with them the whole movie.
Me too. Yeah, I had that same thought. I was like, this is going to be a revenge kind of flick.
Yeah, but then it's like, no,
he dies. He dies so fast. And I was like, okay. And so that's like 40 minutes in, and this is not a long movie by any means. It's like an hour 20, excluding credits. So 35, 40 minutes in, and I know we're right about halfway through. And at that point, it felt like we're kind of setting things up. We're setting up the world. We're setting up the characters. We get the introduction to Jude Law's character, Richard E. Grant's character, the Mr. Fontaine, Damian Bashir's character. And we're getting into Dom Hemingway's shenanigans, and we're kind of figuring out where his place is and all this stuff. And he shows up at Mr. Fontaine's estate, and it's like with the gravity of the situation is that this dude's been locked up for fucking 12 years. It's a long fucking time, and he wants his compensation. He's due some money from this Mr. Fontaine character, and so we're establishing all of that, and we're 40 minutes in, and I'm sitting there wondering, where's this going? Like, is it just gonna be him being a dickhead for the next hour or so, and then So I kind of thought of it as Dom Hemingway versus Mr. Fontaine. That's gonna be this movie.
Because it blindsides you, because you kind of think what's gonna happen is, he's gonna continue to be a huge dickhead, and then try to sleep with Mr. Fontaine's girlfriend.
And Mr. Fontaine is gonna fuck him up at some point, because he's the most dangerous, in air quotes, man in Europe.
And then Dom Hemingway's gonna come back,
and do something
cool, and then end up leaving with all his money and maybe the girl or something weird.
And it takes a sharp left turn.
It does not,
And right at the midway mark, it takes a sharp left turn, and they kill Mr. Fontaine in a car crash, which was, I think, the first moment that actually made me laugh out loud, because Richard E. Grant's character is missing a hand, and you see his hand fly. It's like this big dramatic crash scene. You see his hand fly off, and that got me.
And everyone's like literally dying, and he's like, "Where's my hand?" And like he's
just in the background scrambling around for his hand, and you see Mr. Fontaine get up, and that part was funny too. That part got to me when he's like, "I think I got a splinter," and I was like, "He's dead." And he turns around, and he's got a giant fucking
fender in his stomach,
shrapnel just sticking out of his torso. I was like, "Holy shit, he's really fucking dying." Which was so unexpected, but then they set it up so that Mr. Fontaine's girlfriend gets away with the money, and at that point I'm like, that's what this movie is. He's gonna be chasing after her. She's got the money. She gets away. He wants his money, his due, his compensation, and then it's not even that.
It's not even that.
It's not even that.
He totally gives up
immediately.
It gives up.
Yeah.
And then I made this comment to Dash, because when I walked in his house to record,
Jesse got here. I was like a little bit past the halfway point,
and I was
watching this movie for this show.
And the thing that bothered me is they're at this Mr. Fontaine's villa. No one knows they're there. There's no more Mr. Fontaine. Why not? He could have gone back to the villa and surely steal so much so much money. There's probably so much money there.
Yeah,
there probably was more money. Like he gave him all that money. That was all Dom Hemingway's,
that was his pay.
But surely there's more money there.
Yeah. So when Mr. Fontaine's girlfriend runs away with the money, I was like, oh, this is gonna be. I don't know why. I just kept thinking this was gonna be some kind of revenge flick. It's a guy who's a fucking gangster criminal, gets out of prison. What else are you're gonna get revenge on those who've done you wrong in the past? Which he does at the very beginning when he gets out of prison. And the first thing he does is he beats up his ex-wife's new boyfriend.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. But so the ex-girlfriend gets away, and so my first thought is like he's gonna be chasing after her. That's gonna be this movie. It's not. But my first thought was from that point was that he's gonna go back to the villa and kind of fuck up this guy's house. He's dead. Mr. Fontaine's dead. They just left the villa. I was like, why wouldn't you go back, like he said, and steal something? Which
unless maybe he has goons.
Wait, no, he goes back, right? He does go back. He goes back, but he doesn't steal anything. Because he goes back to break in.
to get his money, but she leaves it.
Okay, that's
She
right.
leaves it
That's
back.
right. So
Yeah, yeah.
at that point, that's what. Okay, so that's why I had that thought. You're right. So they do go back, and because he believes the money is at the villa, but the girlfriend has got there first and runs off with it. And that's the point where he discovers that she's gotten away. But you're already there at this
This expensive villa.
super criminal estate, essentially, like
There's,
multi-million
we're talking jewels,
paintings,
clothes,
priceless art.
Yeah, so many.
He's
things
a
that-
safe cracker.
Yeah.
That's his criminal skills. He's a thief. He's a safe cracker. And when
So if you find a safe, like fucking,
which there is one
There
on
is
the
one.
estate because that's where his money is. When,
Yeah.
when Mr. Fontaine is like, "Oh, that money I owe you, here it is. It's in this safe. By the way, don't watch while I put it in, while I do the little safe inputting, not cracking. What's the word? Whatever.
What?
Opening a lock is." He's Mr. Fontaine's opening up the safe with Dom Hemingway's money, and he asks him to turn around. And I was like, "Oh, we're gonna come back to the safe." Dom Hemingway, it doesn't matter that he's gonna turn around because he's a safe cracker. He's gonna come back to the safe and use his skills to just open it back up anyway, which probably had more money in it. Which I don't know, strange writing. Why wouldn't you? Or
But I
why
think-
wouldn't
I
you at
think
least
it's,
make him try? Like if you kept the rest of the movie as is, why wouldn't you at least show him?
failing maybe.
Yeah, like looking around for something and maybe he finds out the dude was fucking broke the whole time.
Yeah.
Or even he finds something, but it's not quite enough. Like maybe he finds only a couple thousand or something. He's due millions of dollars. Maybe he only finds like a fraction of that in like $10K, and uses that to buy weapons or hire somebody to track this girl that's got the rest of his money. Something like that. That's what I was thinking. Which it doesn't end up doing. The movie doesn't
But
really
I
go in
think
the direction.
and the more you watch the movie, the more you're like, okay, this guy's just a huge idiot. Like
yeah.
he really does not have it together whatsoever, and it's curious how he was even a successful criminal at all.
Right.
And then you also question how successful was he? Like he was a safecracker for Mr. Fontaine, but I kind of get the idea that he was probably underpaid. He probably was doing jobs where he was stealing a lot more money than he was getting a cut of. He just seems like he was definitely manipulated, easily fooled into thinking like, hey, you're my partner, that kind of thing.
But he's really just kind of like
He's just this low-level guy.
That kind of extra
Probably not even
muscle.
Yeah, probably not
If you
even.
could even put it like that.
He's probably not even like one of that great of an asset to Mr. Fontaine. The only reason why he gets all that money is because he's just an idiot that happens to know a lot about Mr. Fontaine.
Right, he's being paid.
He's
to
being
shut
paid
up.
to shut up. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not being paid because he was this great criminal. He's being paid because he knows
too
something,
much.
and that's it.
And another point that they really make a point of that we've kind of touched on briefly is that, but they mention it directly kind of towards the beginning. He's got anger issues.
Yeah.
Which kind of ties into why he's such a buffoon half the time. He's actually like an insane person, and that's part of the funny. That part of the comedic aspect of it is he's just so pissed off at everything that he goes on these huge rants all the time. It's just screaming and yelling about almost every little thing all the time. Something goes wrong, and he's like, "Fuck you, dude!"
But
I'm fucking Dom Hemingway.
The fun part about it is these rants are not scary or threatening at all.
Yeah,
Like
and also
it's just like dude, I'm not concerned about.
you just is like I don't know if somebody he says insane off the wall shit, and I wish I could have some examples just off the top of my head right now, but I can't come up with anything. But like it's just insane, like drunken idiot shit that like if I was somewhere and some guy was screaming this stuff at me for like a split second, I'd be like, oh shit, this shit's hitting the fan right now. But then you listen to what he's saying, and I'm like, just shut up. You're just like a mad dog barking.
Yeah.
Which is funny. It's fun to watch him be that way. And Jude Law does great. So yeah, you were right when you said Jude Law is not. He never does bad, and he doesn't. This is a great case of him really pushing out those acting chops.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Richard E. Grant's character. I think he was my favorite.
He's so funny because
character.
he's kind of like if this was a Disney movie, he's like the cute little animal. You know what I mean? Like that's all he is because he doesn't do anything. He does nothing.
Do you think? How do you think Richard E. Grant, the person, would respond to hearing that?
I mean, I don't know him well, but I think he'd probably laugh.
You think he'd appreciate
I
that?
think he would appreciate it.
Because he always plays such like a stoic kind of like, or at least from what I've seen. I say always. I haven't seen everything he's done, but from what I've seen, he plays like the stoic kind of person in charge kind of guy behind like Mr. Fontaine's character. If they were going for someone who didn't have an accent, I could see Richard E. Grant playing that role.
Yeah. Okay.
See what I'm saying? Like he's
Yeah.
like the badass, and so he's the big bad, most dangerous man in Europe.
Yeah.
Mean son of a bitch, you know.
Right.
And to have him as like kind of like the goofy sidekick,
Well,
who's just there. Who's kind of just there to be
it's so weird that
the
he's
grounding.
there. It's just so weird that he's there in general, right?
Yeah, because kind of
everything that he's just not needed. Like, because all he is there for.
Well, what I was gonna say is he's kind of there to keep Jude Law's character like in check. Kind of.
Yeah.
There's
I guess plot wise.
There's a scene where Jude Law does a lot of or it's the part where he walks outside naked.
Okay.
Was it after the party or was it
basically-
after he got fucked over?
No, it was. It wasn't after. So
It was
basically,
after the party.
it was when he meets Mr. Fontaine, and he
He
basically
blows up
tells
on Mr. Fontaine.
basically tells Mr. Fontaine to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
And that he wants to fuck his girlfriend.
Yeah, he blows up. And,
And
he
then-
says all
and
this
then
shit
he-
to the like just essentially Europe's version of oh shit, who's the drug cartel guy that they made the Narcos?
Oh.
That guy. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Say the name.
Oh. Escobar.
You know.
Pablo Escobar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Europe's version of Pablo Escobar. You would not go up to this man's face and say, "Fuck you! I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend," and basically like call him all this horrible shit to his face.
You wouldn't
just
live.
you wouldn't live.
You wouldn't live. And so Dom Hemingway
Does that.
and what's weird is he knows that he's gonna die now. He knows it, and that's why. So after this
So
scene,
the morning after he
just walks outside. He's butt naked.
naked because he's insane.
He's losing his mind, and he literally thinks he's about to get killed.
Yeah, by the most dangerous man in Europe.
Yeah.
And so Richard E. Grant's character is kind of there to be like, bro, you need to chill the fuck out, and here's how you fix this. Man the fuck up, get the fuck in there, apologize, and he grabs him by the nuts. And I was like, holy shit, hardcore. He grabs him by the nuts and says, don't fuck this up, basically to that effect. Which is pretty
he's almost
enjoyable.
because he's almost like the only form of conscience.
Yes,
Conscience that
I think that's
that
very
Dom
much
Hemingway
his
has.
role.
He's like the angel on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And Dom Hemingway is his own devil.
Yeah.
Emilia Clarke's in this. Did we talk about her yet?
A little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Other than she's
a minor role. I'm just gonna go through the cast list here quickly because I want to talk about the characters. Okay, so the second half of the movie is it's not Dom Hemingway getting his money back from his boss's now ex-girlfriend because she ran off with it. It's Dom Hemingway confronting the man whose cat he killed because he was an old rival, which is never really fleshed out fully. So I don't know if that's why I didn't really get it, because we're kind of introduced to this Lester character who ends up kind of being the antagonist for the rest of the film.
I think it's funny because it's like, of all of his years in working in crime, the only other person that he can think to work for is the person that he's fucked over.
Yeah.
Like he has no ability to think of any other person.
So that's why he approaches it, because he's looking for
he's looking for a job.
work.
So he's literally just trying to get a job to live his
Okay,
life.
and I thought I don't know, that just kind of flew over my head. I don't know if that was, maybe I wasn't paying attention for the few seconds that where they explained it, but I just see this character on the screen, and I'm hearing him out, I'm listening to what he has to say, and all that I get out of it is that Dom Hemingway killed his cat. And I'm like, why are we here? What are we doing? But then Lester, played by what? Why would it not say?
Is it order of appearance or?
No, it's just his top cast.
It's weird.
Why would it say Man Outside Pub 2 above Sandy Butterfield, a character with a name? But strange. Yeah, I don't know who plays him. I don't know who that guy is, but he did good. I liked him. I need you to fill while I'm looking.
Lester.
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 Jermaine Hunter
see his other credits.
Yeah,
I
I want to see what else he's
see if we've seen something else.
known for Attack the Block, Dom Hemingway, and Infinite. What's Infinite?
Oh no.
Horizon Line, and then something else.
He looked.
Not a lot of stuff. He looked familiar.
He looked familiar, but you know how British actors are. They're like in every British show.
Yeah.
Ever.
Kind of, yeah. Which kind of made sense when Amelia Clark showed up. I was like, yes.
He would get.
Yeah, she would be here. Of course,
She would be here. Anyway, Lester's character, played by Jermaine Hunter, is he's the antagonist for the rest of the film, kind of after the halfway point. So this movie is kind of, as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of cut up in like about 5 chapters, I believe, like 5 kind of mini acts. I apologize, my cat was rubbing her head on the table holding the microphone. So if you heard strange noises, that's what it is. If you hear her meowing, she's telling you to listen. She's telling you to follow the show, subscribe. Yes. What else? Yes.
Moo.
Our Lord and Savior Moo, the leader, the Almighty and Gracious.
Moo should they subscribe? Should they?
You can barely hear it.
Hear purr.
You can barely hear it, but I think those are purrs of affirmations. What were you talking about?
No, so it's interesting because so he basically goes. And I know we're like explaining this entire movie, but it's okay. You don't have to watch it.
I think it would help to watch it. I think you could watch it. Obviously, maybe we should lead with this, but spoilers if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, this is just enrichment.
But so it's interesting, because he goes and he works for tries to work for this guy. This guy does not want him to work with him, but he keeps pestering him and then he eventually says, okay, he's like, I have this safe in my club. If you can unlock this safe in 10 minutes, then you can work for me. If not, then I'm going to cut your dick off.
Yeah, and that kind of becomes the climax and the big point of contention, whereas like the first half of the movie kind of sets up some kind of revenge, some kind of like mad chase after some money. It turns into, hey, open this safe or I'm cutting your dick off.
Yeah,
that's the climax.
He didn't have to take the deal either.
Yeah,
it
was given the choice. He thinks about it.
Yeah,
right? Doesn't he? He kind of pauses and.
But he's so full of himself. He's like, oh, I can do this, no problem. And
another big point of contention is Richard E. Grant's character is like, hey, you haven't done this in 12 years. What the fuck are you doing?
Nor has he ever opened. An electric safe.
Yeah, and that's the other big part.
And that's what this is.
It's an electric safe. So, but it was kind of interesting the way he tackled it, because even I was like, okay, so this is where we're going. This is what the movie's becoming. It's like an hour of buffoonery of this guy just being a fucking idiot, and then 20 minutes of him trying to do something that's kind of in his line of work, but is outside, just outside of his area of expertise. The way he tackles it. So yeah, at that point I was like, okay, how's he gonna do it? Because obviously he's got to get in there, or Jude Law is gonna lose his dick. Right. That's what's on the line at this point. And
he handles it. He does not handle it well, because he just basically uses a sledgehammer and like power tools
to bust the
safe open. Like, he does not do it delicately at all. Like if I was like hiring somebody to crack a safe, I would want there to be probably as least the amount of destruction as possible.
Right, you would want it to be clean and done,
a clean job,
quick and easy.
Yeah, and instead you have like a wall with a hole in it, a safe on the floor,
gaping, 5-foot hole,
and then there's like
safe.
And then there's like attached to the safe, there's like these cables, and if they're cut, then the security is going to be notified, and they're going to show up.
Which they end up doing, Chekhov's security cables, which I honestly forgot about. Which is funny because remind me to talk about Chekhov's other thing.
Anyways, and then basically like Dom is tricked. He did open the safe, rather clumsily, but he did do it
within the time limit. And during which he takes the time for a piss break.
And he takes time for like another beer at the beginning.
Yeah, during his 10-minute countdown before his dick is chopped off, or not. He busts open the safe,
and then there's a little safe inside, and it's just like a toy safe, basically.
The loophole is that, or like the trick
on Lester's end is that that's the safe that he wanted open.
Yeah.
It's the small toy safe,
Right.
not the electric.
And it's interesting because it's like, okay, he lost that unfairly, but okay, yeah,
sure.
But if he was like being less confident, less cocky about the whole situation, he would have probably got in there 5 minutes in, and still had 5 minutes left to just break up with that little thing.
Which is
so it's like at every
I think
turn,
it's kind of the point.
His ego is his downfall, and then okay, so they're about to chop his dick off, and then the security comes in, and then they break out of it.
Yeah, Deus Ex security guys. Because he cuts the security.
That's
cable.
what's so funny to me about the whole movie is like every antagonist that we get are completely diffused by just outside properties.
Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina stuff, and then so you kind of realize that there was no other antagonist other than just his own ego.
Yes,
he is.
Dom Hemingway is skirting by, and he's just constantly fucking himself. Like, what is it? Whenever you stick the spokes in a bicycle, or when you put a stick in the spokes of a bicycle while you're rolling downhill at many miles an hour. That's Dom Hemingway's entire thing during this entire movie. After that, him and Richard E. Grant get away, and and I guess kind of a subplot of this is he's trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter, who he finds out he's got like a grandson with, which is like, that's like the feel good stuff, the kind of touching moments at the end. He goes back and visits his wife's grave. Emilia Clarke's character, Dom Hemingway's estranged daughter, reluctantly shows up for him because she doesn't give a flying shit about him. She's pissed off at him, but it kind of leaves the film ends on them kind of like it's like that chance that like.
And I think
it'll be all right.
I think that she doesn't care about having a relationship with him, but I think that what I think happened behind the scenes is the dad, like, so her husband was like, hey, this is an opportunity. I think his name was Jawara. Her
it was
son.
an interesting.
I think that
not Somali, Senegalese name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think that he was like, we have an opportunity here for our son to have a grandson.
Yeah, I think it was mostly for the grandson.
Yeah, and then he asks her, like, she's like walking away, and he asks her if someday they can like spend time together, and she doesn't answer him, but says, you can take Jawari to school.
Which is basically like,
so
it's a chance.
This is your saving grace is you have to develop a relationship.
Which that kid
with the son.
He never speaks. No
words.
So thought that was interesting. Whenever a child actor, they're like, how do we make this guy work? He probably just didn't have that much acting training. Either way, pretty good. Would recommend. You recommend it to me.
I'd recommend.
Would you recommend it to others?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
I would. I think it's a good watch. Don't expect like the greatest film of all time, but it's entertaining.
It's entertaining. It's not saying anything. I don't.
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
It's just a fun really watch. It's fun to watch this guy go on rants and be an egomaniac. And I guess if you wanted to take a lesson from it, I would say that
don't be a fucking dickhead.
Don't be a dickhead. And
don't do crimes.
Step on your. Don't kill cats.
Please. Well. It depends on the situation.
But yeah.
If they're yelling at you incessantly, and you're trying to film a podcast.
Yeah, you can kill them.
Maybe you can kill them then. It's all right.
But it's fun.
What else? Okay, so Chekhov's. That's the one last thing I wanted to talk about before. I think we're pretty much done talking about this movie. But I wrote it down in my notes. What was I talking about?
Do you have
Chekhov's Good Luck? The one American character, the girl,
Melody.
The
girl.
She shows up like kind of like just before the halfway point of this film. They're having like this kind of party scene, I guess, and
so I guess she's just like a call girl.
Kind of, yeah, I think so. Like for Mr. Fontaine, and she shows up and talks to Dom Hemingway. I noticed she's the only. I was like, oh,
she's the only American.
She's the only one with an American accent, and she's fucking weird. It's right before the car crash, right before the big car crash, and she's just kind of talking about herself strangely. She says her name's Melody, and he's just like, oh, I'm Dom Hemingway, and then she goes on to talk about her name even more, and like kind of makes a joke of like Melody, but I can't carry a tune or something like that, and then just keeps talking about herself, and it dawns on me she's the only American character in this film
is this a jab at America?
Yeah, I think it is
I was
because
like,
she's an idiot. Like she's such an airhead.
I thought it was kind of
But
funny.
and then she's like, you'll have good luck in your life.
Because she's part of the car crash, and he resuscitates her, and she says, "You're gonna have good luck," and that's why I wrote Chekhov's good luck. I was like, he better. So I was looking for it. I was like, if this doesn't come back, boo. But it did. At the very end, he runs into her in public somewhere, and she's got a fucking she's riding a little moped, and she's got the big moped dome helmet with her name on it, which is fine, but also there's like music notes around it. I don't know. It's
did you say? So it's interesting how.
Stop.
So it is interesting how you brought up about how she was talking about her name, but yet she's like this really sweet and just kind of innocent character.
Yeah, for sure.
Who is very positive and tries to
I guess to
uplift people. Whereas
it comes off as like overly positive.
Yes.
So
and then there's Dom Hemingway, who is incredible.
Who is the absolute
the opposite
antithesis.
of that, but also obsessed with his name.
True. Okay. Yeah, that's a good. I guess in my head he's an asshole, so it's easy to be like, "Well, fuck this guy." But she's so sweet, and she'll say a joke about her name being Melody, and I'm like, "Stop! You don't need to do that." Because I guess what it is like. Could you imagine if I wore an Incredibles t-shirt every day, but not just any Incredibles t-shirt. It just had Dash on it, the character.
Oh yeah, that would be.
It's insufferable, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So, if your name is a word, don't make that your aesthetic. Is what I'm getting at, and I think that's the moral of this film.
Is to don't hold yourself to your name. Like don't make your name you. You are more than your name.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Boy, and that's Dom Hemingway.
Directed by Richard Shepard. What else does this guy do?
So look at the trivia as well, if you would.
Oh yeah, you want to?
I saw something that was interesting. It said that Jude Law, in order to gain weight for this film, which is weird because he wasn't. He had like a little tummy, but it really wasn't. He wasn't like fat.
But I think he's typically a pretty in shape dude, based on like most of his roles within at least the last decade.
But he drank 10 Coca-Colas a day in order to gain weight.
God damn. Where do I?
You trying to look at Richard Shepard?
No, I don't. I lost interest almost immediately.
Oh, okay. But it sounds familiar. I'm curious.
Hemingway trivia.
In order to gain weight, drink 10 Coca-Colas a fucking day. Christ almighty.
I guess he only
gained 30 pounds.
It's really not that much.
Amelia Clarke is only 14 years younger than Jude Law, who plays her father.
Oh yeah, so something else that they kept saying is like, you're an old man, you're washed up. Like Lester's character is like, you're old, you're out of the game. And Richard E. Grant, who is, visibly an older man, I think he says he mentions it at least once. He's like, oh, we're old now, we're old dogs, we're old school.
But Dom looks like he's like 45.
Yeah, Jude Law looks great.
Yeah,
he looks fine.
Yeah,
and he's a grandfather, and which is, I guess, not insane in your 40s, but he looks maybe 40.
Maybe they should have aged him a little bit more.
Yeah, or maybe just don't make that a big point
that he's an old guy.
That he's like an old.
Well, the script was probably written, and then they cast
him afterward.
So.
But so I don't know. I thought that was interesting where they just kept calling him old. I was like, he looks fine. He looks great. He does I would call Richard E. Grant an old dude way faster than I would have called
Jude Law, and that's just Jude Law being Jude Law, man. He's
a handsome
good-looking
guy.
dude.
You can't just.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's not a lot of trivia.
Only thing that happened is he drank Coca-Colas.
Yeah, that's probably the only interesting thing here.
Cool, Dom Hemingway. I would recommend. So I want to, like I said last episode, I want to implement a rating system. I don't really have a solid one in mind yet, but I guess the best thing I could say is I would recommend this to somebody just to throw on in the background, probably, if you're going to pay attention to 75% of it.
I would give it like a 6.5 out of 10, probably 6.75 out of 10.
Pretty much all of those points are just for Jude Law.
Yeah,
and then Richard E. Grant also being goofy and playing. I think against Ty. I can't.
I feel like I mostly see Richard E. Grant be silly.
Really?
I feel like, yeah.
So I'm insane for
Well,
thinking that.
we probably just have seen different things, but I see.
He was.
I do see him as kind of a goofball.
He was like one of the Grand Moffs in Star Wars. That's the only role that comes to mind. So he's supposed to be like a big badass, intimidating general type. That's Dom Hemingway. Would recommend. Yeah, I'll give it. I would say 6.5. 6.5 dicks out of 10. Jude Law saying cocks in the movie. So let me check something real quick. All right, do you want to talk about anticipated films for the year, because it is a new year? It is January 1st right now.
Do you have
2023? Is this the year of our Lord? Or was that?
No, we don't do that anymore.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, sorry guys. We've thrown out the Gregorian calendar to the devil.
This is the year of our
cult. As our cult comes up. What were you going to suggest?
No, I was going to ask if you have like a list of movies you're thinking about. Because I guess like I feel like I anticipate TV shows more than I do movies.
Okay, well do you have any?
So definitely the first thing that comes to mind in TV shows, which is going to come out in 14 days, is The Last of Us.
Okay.
Yeah, very excited with Pedro Pascal. Can't remember the girl's name, but I bet she's going to be awesome.
I never played it. I know a lot of people. I know it's really popular. I know a lot of people love that game, and I know you've definitely talked to me about it before. And I do remember hearing about the show being in production, but yeah, I didn't know it was coming out so soon. Let me know.
Yeah,
so let me know who it is when you watch it, because I probably won't for a hot minute. I'm very bad about watching shows. Is there like a trailer or anything?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
We'll
probably watch it after this.
I think another show. I think The Witcher season 3 is coming out, which I'm excited for, but also sad because it will be the last of Henry Cavill as The Witcher.
Oh right, his final season.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he leave again?
So we don't know like the exact reason, but there's a few hints out there.
Is it like a creative difference of saying?
It's creative because he's very passionate about the books and the video games, and
Henry Cavill, renowned nerd, and
he felt like the authors of the show and the showrunner were kind of butchering the lore.
Okay.
There are certain things that like it seemed like his main issue, at least from what I've read, was when you hear the dialogue with Geralt, he's literally just going
Oh really?
Like he's just grunting and making facial expressions most of the time, but Geralt is actually kind of a philosophical person, and in the books you get that narrated.
So he's a little bit more.
He's much
talkative.
He's not talkative.
Expressive.
He's not talkative, but he is speaking in his head in the book. Like
and we're just not getting that in the show.
And you're not getting his thoughts in the show, which to some degree I feel like I'm okay with because I don't typically like.
You wouldn't want his
narration.
Thoughts just be narrated.
You wouldn't want that. I would much rather. I would much rather just see a character, and I don't have to know. I don't have to know what a character is thinking to know that they're thinking. It's really only valuable for me to know that they're thinking, and I'm probably going to kind of figure out maybe what they were thinking about based on the actions later in the show. Like if something happens in a scene and we see Geralt's eyes, kind of, or like his eyebrows kind of furrow and he grunts maybe, okay, so it's like he's thinking about something about what just happened. We don't need to know because we're gonna know what how that impacted him based on his choices later. It's like watching, like if you watch Breaking Bad, a lot of what's happening is just
spoilers.
Have you ever watched Breaking Bad?
No, I have not.
So a lot of Breaking Bad, in the way that Vince Gilligan would tell that story is it would just be these characters. You don't know what they're thinking, but they make big decisions later on, and so you're like, okay, so I kind of get an idea of where his mind was at based on that. And I feel like Henry Cavill is a good enough actor that when I see his facial expressions, that's enough. I think that's enough. So I don't know if that is true, because I don't know where this, if this information is valid or whatever. But I think I had mentioned, I think I sent you a text in the group. I don't know if you read it. Basically about how the Blood Origins is the prequel to The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's a show that came out on Netflix.
Does it revolve around Geralt's character?
No,
it Geralt or Geralt?
So
Geralt?
it's Geralt.
Geralt?
And this was
Geralt.
this was like, I think hundreds of years prior, maybe even longer than that, maybe thousands. But it's old, like the origins of how the Witcher.
Okay, so his character is not involved.
His character is not involved at all.
Gotcha.
And they change. So the Witchers are not supposed to be able to have children, but in Blood Origins.
Oh yes, I remember.
They made it so you can have children, which people
kind of just fly in the face of what.
It's just annoying because it's like, a lot of times with these little things, people who create stories put those things in there for a reason, and it's like, Ciri is this girl that Geralt ends up being a father to when he's not able to have kids. And then Yennefer, the woman he's in love with, also can't have kids, so they become like this little family.
So,
and it's like these voids are being fulfilled, and this bond is kind of created out of misfortune, right? Like,
they wrote around the rules that they had set in place.
So they
did it well, but then to throw out the rules that have already been established, just kind of
then it's like obviously it doesn't take away from their bond or anything, but it made it more poignant, I think. If you made it so that Witchers couldn't have kids, and now that you're just throwing that out, it's like, okay, you're lessening the value of what this story is telling and the bonds that these characters have. And so I think that it's stuff like that made him not want to be a part of it.
And when does that come out?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
When it comes out.
But this year,
it'll be this year.
I got a list here of some films. Some I knew, some I didn't. So, did you know there was going to be a Wonka film?
I didn't know about that.
A young Willy Wonka?
Timothy Chalamet?
Yeah. And Rowan Atkinson is involved.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, interesting for sure. Guardians 3, John Wick, Chapter 4, I believe. Aquaman, Mithrigan. We were talking about that. Fast 10. Oppenheimer, cool. Spider-Man Across the Universe, Part 1.
Hell yeah.
I'm hyped for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
The last animated Spider-Man movie, Into the Universe. Best Spider-Man film? Just of all of them?
Probably so.
Because I think so.
Yeah, I think
it's the best one.
It's probably, I think it's the best one.
Transformers Rise of the Beasts, which if the rest of the movies didn't suck, I might be interested in. Just because it looks cool. Dune Part 2.
Did you watch Dune?
Did not get to the first one. It's on my list.
It's
good. I plan on doing an episode.
There's actually a lot of...
It's my favorite director.
How do you say his name?
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah. And a lot of people did not like that movie.
I heard it was like...
But I
heard
it.
I thought I heard that critically it did really well, but like general audiences just kind of didn't buy into it that much, I guess. And I wonder if that's just because it's such a fantastical kind of lore heavy world. It's like it would require like the nerds would be about it. But
it's like it does make you go like, okay, well, I need to read up on what all this means.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
yeah. I mean, you don't need
what the fuck is going on.
You can get a sense of the politics of it all, and like you can accept what's kind of going on. I feel like enough to enjoy the movie, but there's definitely a lot that I feel like I need to know.
Okay. That makes sense.
But it made me feel like
I think
if Star Wars was made by somebody who's trying to make a gritty story, you know what I mean? Like instead of campy, like for kids, obviously.
General audiences.
Yeah, like general audiences.
I think it inspired the first Star Wars because it was a book,
right?
And I think George Lucas took inspiration because desert planets and things of that nature. I believe was the case. So yeah, that's cool. There's no date yet, just says 2023. Knock at the Cabin. Have you heard about that one? It's it's M. Night Shyamalan's next film. It's got what's his name? Dave Bautista as a strange man who shows up at a family's cabin. I think they're on this family's on vacation. There's a trailer. This family's on vacation and they just get like a random knock at the door and Dave Bautista. It looks like kind of like. Do you remember that movie The Button?
I think it was called, or the
So,
box, or
is that the one where like if you
If you
press a
click the
button,
button,
you
you
get
get
money,
$1 million.
but someone dies?
it's like one of those kind of situations, and they're
Okay.
like trapped in this cabin with like this stranger who shows up and is offered some kind. It says right here are demanded to make an unthinkable choice to avert the apocalypse. So that's what they're dealing with. It looks cool as fuck. I don't know. I know M. Night gets a lot of hate, but I still fucks with him. So
Yeah, he.
Signs is one of my favorite movies of all time.
You know, I watched Science recently.
I want to do an episode on it.
It's a good movie.
I think so.
It's like, I feel like with M. Night Shyamalan, it's like once you kind of know the twist, I'm not as into wanting to see it again.
Really? I could
Yeah.
watch Signs every day forever.
That's
one of
crazy.
the few movies that...
We should watch. What was the first one with the Bruce Willis? Was it
Unbreakable? I want to do Unbreakable,
should do
Split,
Unbreakable,
Glass
for
is
sure.
one.
It's one thing.
Because I haven't seen Glass, and I heard it's not great.
I haven't
I
seen
like
it.
Split a lot.
Yeah, I haven't
Unbreakable,
seen Glass. Unbreakable
I
was
didn't
fucking
love as much. I thought it was fun.
You didn't like? I thought Unbreakable.
I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I was like, yeah, it's good. It's fine. Split was really good. Glass, I heard, was dog shit. So we can make fun of that when we get around to it. There's gonna be a Blue Beetle movie. Apparently, the logo looks whack. It's like,
What is that?
Blue Beetle is like DC's really. I guess if I had to someone who doesn't know, like maybe like they're, I don't know, Spider-Man, kind of like he's a goofy kind of
Like
themed
like,
hero,
just like a little jokester,
kind of
an angsty punk.
something like that.
Comedian.
I don't know 100%, but I know he's a sillier character.
Did you see that they got rid of the Shazam guy? Did
Zachary
you ever
Levi.
watch? Yeah, they got rid of Zachary.
What do you mean? Because
he's no longer going to be Shazam.
Oh shit!
Which
Because
I
on this
think
list is that movie for this year.
I think is
Shazam.
unfortunate. That was actually
I like that one.
Of the DC movies. That was one of my
Yeah.
favorites of them. I thought that
It was one of the better for sure.
It was well executed. I
The
think.
Meg 2. Did you see the first The Meg?
The Meg?
Yeah. Jason Statham fights a shark.
Of course not.
Me neither. I just didn't know this would be getting a sequel because the first one looks so ridiculous.
like
Meg 2 The Trench. You hyped for that one? We're going to go watch it together? Hey, could you shut the fuck up? The Meg 2 is an upcoming science fiction film. Blah, blah, everything is a sequel to the 2018 Jason Statham. Great. Insightful. It's a TMNT movie.
TMNT?
A CGI movie.
CGI.
A reboot of the film franchise. Second theatrical animated entry following TMNT. Seth Rogen is cast as something. James Marsden is Splinter.
So
Sounds like a Mario Chris Pratt situation.
there's like two properties that I grew up loving, and they're struggling so hard right now.
TMNT
and
was one of them
is
for you.
definitely
Yeah.
one of them because I love TMNT, and I really feel like right now is a great time for like an actually like good movie to be made about them.
I think they could make a good one.
I think they need to go back to practical effects.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like a mixture of kind of like how Star Wars does, a mixture of puppetry and
Okay.
CGI.
So if they were to come back and do a live action version now, whoever made like the Grogu doll, that kind of
stuff. Yeah.
team needs to get involved.
Yes.
All right, I got you. Cocaine Bear is on this list. That looks insane. We talked about that the other week.
I was excited when
True story?
So the true
Kind of.
part about it is what happened before. Everything else is fake. So the true part is that there was a guy who would fly over millions of dollars of cocaine and just drop it somewhere, and then he would fly the plane into the Atlantic Ocean. So
And then a bear got a hold of the cocaine somehow.
So basically what happened is he like ended up passing out while he was flying, and so he crash landed and died.
Okay.
And the bear came upon the wreckage and ate all the cocaine and died. We don't know anything that happened. We just found a dead bear.
So this is the retelling of
Who-
all the events between the death of the bear and his antics and shenanigans.
Right, and
leading up to
they found his dead body
after
with
the
the cocaine. So it's unlikely that he survived long enough to go on a rampage.
All right. Well,
And-
yeah,
and-
this
and-
movie looks
and-
insane. We watched the trailer. I'll probably watch it. And it's like the ridiculous. It's like the amount of ridiculous that I
You kind of enjoy it.
want.
The director did Pitch Perfect 2. I think that was her first movie.
Wasn't that?
She did Pitch Perfect 2. She directed it.
Yeah, isn't the announcer duo, one of them being Jason Bateman's brother from.
Tony Hale?
No. The announcer duo from Pitch Perfect. What is his name? The man. He's a magician in the show.
Oh, Will Arnett.
Will Arnett,
Uh-huh.
and then his lady announcer partner. Isn't she the director? You know who I'm talking about?
I know. I always forget her name. It's
Yeah, she's
is
a
it
popular
Elizabeth?
actress.
Elizabeth something. Just look it up right now. Look at the Cocaine Bear.
Bro,
Let's get this right.
I was so tired.
I always like
I don't know if I mentioned this. I got 3 hours of sleep.
Cocaine
Cocaine Bear. That's right. Director.
It's like two.
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she's in it.
Yeah.
I was right. Cool. Yeah, I'd watch that. I'd watch Cocaine Bear.
I don't know if I will.
I'll let you know. There's a. Oh, this says 2024. That should not be on this list for movies releasing in 2023. But Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim.
Wait, a Lord of the Rings movie?
Is an upcoming anime fantasy film
Whoa.
directed by Kenji Kamiyama.
That sounds kind of dope.
That sounds badass.
Yeah.
I'm so here for that, but can't talk about it because it says 2024 release date.
Yeah.
A Quiet Place Day 1, the next installment in the Quiet Place franchise. I never saw the second one. I really want to. The
second
first
one
one was great.
I think the
Love
second
first
one was better.
Really cool.
Than the first one, yeah.
That makes me excited. Chicken Run 2, which I think is the last one I'm gonna end this on.
I'll watch Chicken Run 2.
James Cameron waited 12 years for a sequel to his franchise. James Cameron, get the fuck out of the way. Chicken Run 2.
Chicken Run 2. Okay.
What has it been, like almost 20 years?
You know,
I gave you a room
in
the first one
Avatar-
came out, but
in Avatar they trained all of the actors in swimming and holding their breath underwater. Sigourney Weaver got to a point where she could hold her breath for 6 minutes underwater.
Really?
Because of the training she underwent. And
Hell
Chicken
yeah.
Run 2...
I believe it. I believe
Chicken
Sigourney
Run
Weaver.
2,
If anyone can do it,
they put the actors and actresses in just a shit ton of feathers to see how much they could withstand. They had to actually poke their skin with the quills.
How much? No, they did the tarring and feathering
The tarring and feathering. How much? Yeah, so they had to go through heat training
to withstand the
tar.
and then embarrassing pictures of themselves covered in feathers uploaded to their social medias to withstand, the reception to having their
Having
the
your
image of their
likeness
likeness
is a chicken.
out there as a chicken. That's brutal.
Yeah, it's
grueling.
brutal. It's brutal. It's something that doesn't get.
I
talked
love
about.
Sigourney Weaver, but get fucked, dude.
Get fucked, Sigourney. You get stuck.
Are you in Chicken Run too? What if she was? But it says she's not. Zachary Levi, though, apparently is cast as Rocky, whatever that means. He's probably left Shazam 2 to do Chicken Run 2.
Probably.
He's like, if I had to do one sequel, it's definitely going to be the
But
more
Chicken Run was a
culturally
good-
impactful.
Chicken Run was a good movie.
It was.
It was upsetting. It was like a little upsetting.
I
'Cause
vaguely
was
remember
dark.
it.
It was like really dark, and kids were watching it, and I'm like, this is like a very.
Well, they needed it.
Oops.
Fuck them.
There's a lot of spike.
You just smacked the fuck out of the table holding the mic. That definitely came across. Look.
Yeah, I see it.
Definitely came across in the audio recording, and because of that, you've ruined the show. So we're just gonna call it.
Okay.
I wanted to stop it so bad right there, but no, we should do a proper outro. So yeah, that's the show. I think we got some exciting stuff lined up for the year. I'm excited to do this show, keep it going, talk about some fucking movies. I have a big list of movies that we're gonna get to throughout the year to kind of break down and talk about, make fun of, talk shit about, for you guys to hopefully be on board and listen to if you want. Just kidding, you don't have a choice because this is a cult.
Yeah.
Once you're in the cult, you're part of the cult. Part of the cult.
Part of the crew.
Part of the crew.
Part
in
of the
crew.
cult.
Part of the
Part of
cult. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for checking out our first episode and then hopping on over to this episode.
And if you didn't check out the first episode, you should go listen to it.
It was probably better than this one.
Probably
So
better.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like my energy was off, but I know that like I'm fucking lacking sleep, bro. what can you expect? I'm trying to do a full-time job and a podcast. That's two things.
Yeah, you have to work.
Nobody could do that.
You have to work
realistically.
3 days a week, and then one of the days you do a podcast.
One of the days. Instead of doing it on one of my days off, I do it before I have work. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm just happy to be able to do this. This has been a passion project to be able to get this shit going. I fucking spilled my guts about this last episode. Nobody cares. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Jesse, for being here and joining me and talking about the movie. Thank you for recommending Dom Hemingway. Is there anything else we want to leave them with? So when we upload this, feel free to hit up our email, leave a review, leave a question, leave a comment, leave a concern. theunculturedcult @gmail.com. We'll be getting to those emails, and I think in future episodes
we'll create a social media.
Yeah, we'll have other platforms.
People probably don't really want to email us, so we'll make like a Twitter.
That's where you're wrong. I'm demanding that you email. Send an email. If
you can send a DM. That's better.
I'll copyright strike anything that
isn't
the Gmail
I'm
that
signing
has
off
a name.
right here and right now because I got shit so bad.
Okay, I'll wrap up the show while you. He's coming. Okay, yeah. So we'll get some social medias going. We'll have some posts going. I think Jesse will be more in charge of that. I'm kind of just gonna be in charge of the YouTube. Yeah, I'm posting these to YouTube first before I get on another like kind of a bigger podcast networking. Have our episodes pushed out for us. But until then, you can find us on YouTube. Eventually, I'll get it on Spotify so that you guys can listen anytime. If you're on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment, because I definitely want to read those for sure. I'm not too familiar with the Spotify platform, so I don't think comments are a thing on there. I'm not 100% sure. I'll find out. But yeah, if you want to get in contact, email the show, theunculturedcult @gmail.com. Jesse got up to take a shit. I am your host, Dash, and I am signing out. Join the cult. Goodbye.